Then I go to my brother. I say, brother, can you help me, please? But he winds up knocking me down on my knees. Oh, there've been times when I thought I couldn't last for long. Now I think I'm able to carry on. It's been a long time coming, but I know the change gon' come. Oh, yes, it will. Oh, I know the change gon' come.
Hello and good morning. I am Shelley Negrani. I am your worship associate today. Together with our minister, Dave Dunn, our music director, Alex Peach, video editor, Bruce Langston, and all of the people who have contributed to this service, I welcome you to Unitarian Universalist Metro Atlanta North, which we lovingly call UUMAN. UUMAN offers no creed or dogma. We do have principles by which we try to live, one of which is that we honor the inherent worth and dignity of all humans and the interconnectedness of all creation. We have no claim on the truth. Many of us come to UUMAN to engage in an open-minded and responsible, compassionate search for truth and meaning, being mindful of the love we hold for one another and the world in which we live. Whoever you are, whomever you love, wherever you are on your spiritual journey and wherever it's taking you, you are welcome here. If you're visiting with us for the first time, a special welcome and an invitation to please fill out our online visitor form, which you will find on the UUMAN website, UUMAN.org. Someone from our membership team will contact you. We do have an announcement this morning. Our next UU Path to Membership class is being scheduled virtually in 2 parts. We will meet online Saturday, September 12th from 10 until noon, and then again on Sunday, September 20th at 11:15 after service. If you are new to our congregation or to Unitarian Universalism or are considering becoming a member of UUMAN, or just want a refresher on the basic tenets of our faith, this class is for you. A sign-up is available online on our homepage, and if you have any questions, please email membership@UUMAN.org. Also, please join us for coffee and conversation so we can check in with each other after this service. The link to coffee and conversation can be found on our homepage. And now, just take a breath. Relax your shoulders. And be here with us now.
Ancient Mother, I hear you calling. Ancient Mother, I hear your song. Ancient Mother, I feel your laughter. Ancient Mother, I taste your tears. Ancient Mother, I hear you calling. Ancient Mother, I hear your song. Ancient Mother, I feel your laughter. Ancient Mother, I taste your tears. Ancient Mother, return to us. May your ways, may your wisdom guide us back toward a beloved future. Ancient Mother, I hear you calling. Ancient Mother, I hear your song. Ancient Mother, I feel your laughter. Ancient Mother, I taste your tears.
Good morning. We're the Burkhart family. I'm Catherine. This is Josie, my daughter, and Kurt, and my husband John is filming. Let us light our chalice together. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for its truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve humankind in fellowship. Thus do we promise to each other. Thus do we promise to each other.
Robert Chi lived in China around 500 BC, and he had over 9,000 followers. Now, Robert Chi was so named because he was just that. He was a robber, a thief. And he and his band of 9,000 would pillage the countryside, breaking into houses, robbing princes, stealing horses. When Robert Chi and his band were around, people guarded the city walls, and if there were no city walls, people fled to nearby fortresses. Robert Chi and his band ignored their mothers and fathers, disregarded their ancestors. They exhibited a lot of bad behavior. Now, Confucius, the teacher, the wise man of China, knew Robert Chi's older brother, Lu Chi. Now, Confucius taught personal and societal progress, achieved by obeying one's elders, working hard, continuous improvement. One was always working, striving, and working. Now, Confucius said to Lu Chi, the father should set out the law for the son, and the younger son must listen to the older son. Lu Chi, Confucius continued, you haven't done a very good job with your younger brother, Robert Chi. He has not listened. You should be ashamed of yourself, Lu Chi. I'm going to talk to your brother myself. Lu Chi said, that is not a good idea, Confucius. Robert Chi's heart is like a gushing fountain. His will is like a hurricane. He will not listen to you. Confucius went anyway. He found the encampment of Robert Chi. He asked the guard at the edge of the encampment to say, go tell Robert Chi that the great Confucius would like to speak with him. Robert Chi was eating his dinner when he was informed of the news, and he rolled his eyes and said, bring him before me. When presented to Robert Chi, Confucius bowed twice and began to talk. But almost immediately, Robert Chi cut him off, interrupted, and said, Confucius, if what you say pleases me, you will live. If what you say displeases me, you will die. Confucius thought it over. Robert Chi, said Confucius, please listen to my ideas. I have instructed many kings and kingdoms throughout the land, kingdoms of the north, south, east, and west. I have improved them. I have taught them how to thrive. I have taught them how to flourish. I have taught them how to be profitable. Then Confucius began talking about 3 different types of virtue. Then Confucius finally concluded his talk and said, I am ashamed of your behavior, Robert Chi, but I can help you redeem yourself. Robert Chi calmly responded, in the past, people lived for generations in harmony with nature and in peace with their neighbors. They ate what they themselves planted. They made their own clothes. In the summer, they gathered firewood. In the winter, they burnt that firewood to stay warm. They lived side by side with the elk and the deer, one with nature. Then Robert Chi flew into a towering rage. Confucius, come here. I've heard of you, Confucius. Praise people to their faces, but speak against them behind their back. The sort of person who can be won over by promises of profit or reformed through speeches are simply fools, idiots of the most common sort. You advise kings and kingdoms, telling them what is virtuous and what is not, telling them what is right and what is not. In pursuit of profit, you've led them away from their true inherent nature. They've flourished, then fallen. They've conquered, then were conquered. Those you advised no longer live in harmony with nature. You eat what others have planted, wear clothes that you yourself have not made. Others warm your fires. Because of your virtuous words of progress, neighbors are suspicious of one another, make war upon one another. There is no peace. The more you say, the more ridiculous you sound. You've created this camp. Your wickedness is vast and your sins weighty. Now get off home now, for if you don't, I'm going to take your liver and add it to my meal. Confucius bowed twice and hurried home.
a time in the service when the ties that bind this community together are spoken aloud. Elizabeth Norris has a concern. Roswell's fire chief, Ricky Burnett, has been in the hospital on a ventilator for several days due to COVID-19. He's in critical condition. I don't know him well, but I would often sit next to him when I attended Roswell City Council meetings. He was always kind when I spoke to him. He has a gentle smile. I'll be wishing him and his family well. And this community shares a concern and a sorrow that longtime member Carol Mara has passed away. She was a spiritual teacher to many of us. Her smile brightened up the room. Her garden was an amazing place to be. She will be sorely missed. And I drop this final pebble for those joys and concerns not yet spoken. Let us hold one another in our hearts until we meet again.
O beloved community, return to us. Help us to find the righteous path that we have forsaken, so that we may again lie down in your green pastures, beside your still waters that restore our soul. O beloved community, at your table we were comforted. We feared no evil, our cup overflowed. In your dwelling, goodness and mercy followed us in all our days. O beloved community, return to us. Sometimes it feels as if we've lost our way, that we're lost, that we've been exiled from the garden east of Eden. The events of this summer have opened our eyes to the fact that there is much about our community that is not beloved. Our pastures are not green, our waters not still. And for far too many, there is no comfort, goodness, or mercy. This summer, I took an online philosophy course, the philosophy of the Western tradition, from Descartes to Derrida. One conclusion that I can draw from the course is that we actually don't have any rational way of knowing anything. That's problematic, and that will be maybe some other sermon. But another thing that I learned, one idea that was presented, was just shocking to me. Yeah, shocking. The idea is this, and I'm quoting from the instructor. The 18th century Enlightenment invented the idea of progress. Throughout history, human civilizations and tribal local societies have not generally accepted the idea that the future is going to be better than the present or the past. They would have recoiled at the idea. The future is to repeat the present, and both are supposed to repeat the past. For most human cultures, the Great Age, the Golden Age, was the age when our ancestors behind us spoke directly to the gods. Wow. Progress is a modern invention? I had a hard time wrapping my mind around that. And the instructor acknowledged that almost immediately, acknowledged my disbelief and perhaps your disbelief by saying that the idea of progress to us is like second nature. that it's imbibed in our mother's milk. In ancient communities, the community itself was sacred. It wasn't about you, the individual. It was about the people. Although ancient communities were not perfect, and beloved community is not about perfection. Although ancient communities were not perfect, you belonged. You were part of the community, the clan, the tribe, the band, the circle. Beloved community, more than anything else, is about radically belonging. Now, progress has no doubt been beneficial to us in many ways. We have germ theory, advances in medicine, public sewage, electric guitars, ice cream. Enlightenment's progress brought about modernity, and with it, a turn to the subject, a turn to the self. An enlightened, modern idea of selfhood, individual liberty, personal freedom. And these sound like good things, and they can be good things. Yet has modernity, with its enlightened invention of progress, and its turn to the self, come at a price? Has this led us closer to or further from beloved community? Friedrich Nietzsche said that modernity is the most life-denying and self-alienating approach to life possible. Ouch. Just might our faith in progress be blind? Might this blind faith in the progress of modernity and the glorification of the self lead us to easily oppress others who we deem not to be part of ourselves? Has this faith led us to profound feelings of isolation and disconnection, not only from others, but from our very selves, from our own inherent nature, to the extent that people no longer even feel comfortable in their own skin? They dream about being someone else, in someone else's skin. Robert Chi, in our Time for All Ages story this morning, confronts the wise Confucius with this. He says, "Your ways of improvement and progress have taken us further from ourselves. We're now caught up in greed, warfare as a result of your wisdom. You've created this camp." The unfortunate events of the summer have clearly, tragically, shown us some of the camps that we've created. And who is we? It is hard to get around this. But if we are not the target of oppression, then we are responsible for it. If we are not actively resisting, deconstructing what we've created, then we're essentially giving the green light to it. We are complicit in its creation and in its construction. To me, there's no getting around it as a Unitarian Universalist. As Unitarian Universalists, if we believe in an interdependent cosmos, then we are all responsible. If modernity seems to be taking us further from beloved community, an ideal that our ancestors embodied more fully, does that mean we have to go back to being hunters and gatherers? Well, barring some sort of apocalypse, that's not going to happen. So what to do? Philosopher Jean-Jacques Rousseau, who was a friend to many Enlightenment proponents, but also their critic, said we can't go back, but we can go forward by abiding by a social contract for the common good. A social contract for the common good. That there should be no such thing as individual, private good, only community, public, common good. Now, these words might sound sweet and lovely, but for those of us who bear the responsibility of creating this camp, does that compel us to change in some way, sacrifice, to turn away from the shallow eye of individualism and privilege towards the common good of all for larger, more magnanimous purposes? I mean, we are responsible for this creation. I'm not talking about people out there in our society. I'm talking about us here at UUMAN. In recent months, I've been personally inspired with ideas to serve the common good by UUMAN's Earth Ministry team. Over the last several months, there's been several viewings of some very thoughtful films that, when looking through an ecological lens, is highly critical of the modern world that we're creating. Yet rather than merely offering a critique, these films are also offering ideas for change, things that I can do, steps that others have already done. These things are being offered. One particularly inspiring film was the 2015 movie Tomorrow. And in this movie, it focused on several aspects of our culture that one might deem under threat or broken down. And they offered several case studies, windows through which hope could be seen. One case study focused on a town in England that was organically growing its own food. It was growing its own food everywhere. Every little patch of green space in their town, food was growing. In the center of town, right outside the police headquarters, on perhaps 15 square feet of land, 5 feet by 3 feet, you could pick berries. Food was everywhere. And with this, food became something visible, something known, immediate, tactile, not this invisible thing, an item of consumption that handed to you from some agro-industrial complex. Another case study focused on the economy. This particular town, also in England, I believe, created their own discounted currency. And it looked real. It was real. It's discounted currency. It can be used in their town. Instead of the Queen of England's picture on it, they had like David Bowie's picture on it, which was pretty cool. But this idea encouraged spending on locally owned businesses because the money could only be spent in their town. It kept the wealth in the town, in its businesses, and in its employees. It discouraged spending that extracted wealth from the town to non-locally owned businesses. Another case study, a town in India radically envisioned democracy in such a way that made it easy for all citizens to participate. It was like expected. Participation was like the default option. And it resulted into the breaking down of caste barriers in ways that had never been done before. New ways of loving one's neighbor and building community. And there were perhaps 5 or 6 other case studies. But what struck me most of all in this film, more than any one thing, that everything was done locally, in the local community. There was no grand nationwide policy initiatives where you had to get votes from Democrats or Republicans. There were no national politicians interviewed. Nope. Everything was small and local. Average, everyday citizens looking at themselves in the mirror and taking it upon themselves to make their community better, taking the responsibility on themselves for what they're creating. To turn away from themselves, turn away from that shallow eye of individualism towards the common good of all. They are on the path of beloved community. Oh, beloved community, return to us. Help us to find the righteous path that we have forsaken so that we may once again lie down in your green pastures. beside your still waters that restore our soul. At your table we will once again be comforted. We will fear no evil. Our cup will once again overflow. And in your dwelling, goodness and mercy will follow us in all our days. And we may forever dwell in you, beloved community. Amen.
Stevens, UUMAN's Family Promise Coordinator. You know, I've learned a lot during this pandemic. Did you all know that the word pan actually means world? So when I'm walking around calling it a global pandemic, I'm being redundant. So yeah, you learn a lot. Supporting family promises during a pandemic has been a learning experience for all of us. And not to be redundant again, there have been wonderful rewards. UUMAN stepped up for a second week in March, back when we all thought this COVID thing was going to end by May. Then our time to host again in June came, and the families were all being housed at St. Luke's Presbyterian Church full time. But that didn't stop UUMAN from stepping up and giving money, supplies, and snacks to support the families and the program. One family graduated in early June and moved into an apartment. All this because of the support they received from Family Promise. I recently sent you all a very cool article about two of the families receiving late model cars to get them closer to independence. That way they can drive Uber and Lyft as second jobs and make enough money to hopefully become independent. It's good news, it's bad news about our overall look at the economy, but nonetheless, this is because of Family Promise. Lastly, I sent you all an email yesterday about a need for furnishings and household goods for another family that's graduating. I have already heard from some of you. Thank you so much. But the need continues. This pandemic has made it harder to find good work. People are continuing to get laid off. Continuing unemployment benefits are up in the air, and rents are as high as ever. So here I am again, asking you to consider donating to this program as part of August's 50-50 offering. You can do this in a variety of ways, the easiest of which is to go to your Givelify app and donate, indicating it's the 50-50 program on the note. Also, feel free to write a check to UUMAN, note it as 50-50, and mail it to the church. Thanks from the bottom of my heart for your continuing support of Family Promise, where we are part of a wonderful group of faith communities doing the work we are called to do, a local response to a global pandemic. Shoot, there I go again.
Community Means Strength by Starhawk. We are all longing to go home, to some place we've never been, a place half remembered and half envisioned, we can only catch glimpses of from time to time. Community. Somewhere there are people to whom we can speak with passion, without having the words catch in our throats. Somewhere a circle of hands will open to receive us. Eyes will light up as we enter. Voices will celebrate us whenever we come into our own power. Community means strength that joins our strength to do the work that needs to be done. Arms to hold us when we falter. A circle of healing, a circle of friends. Someplace where we can be free.
Let us now extinguish our chalice. We extinguish our chalice, yet may the flame of our community remain lit wherever we are. May it continue to light the way, guiding our faith into the future, giving warmth to our hearts and to our lives. Amen.
Black Elk said, "And I saw that the sacred hoop of my people was one of many hoops that made one circle. May we return to that without going anywhere, yet by remaining here in our local community. Go in peace and enjoy your week."